every system, there's a signal, a pulse, a spark that cuts through the noise. Some call it innovation, some call it disruption. We call it the protocol. So plug in, power up, and follow the signal. This is Neon Protocol.
All right, everybody. Welcome to our next episode of Neon Protocol. We're here with Damon, Ron, and Dan. And of course, I'm Gene. And today we're actually joined with our guest, Russ, who in a second, I'm going to let him give his nice introduction. But really excited to have him as a guest. He has done an immense amount of work in research and development and AI enterprise scalability. So we're really excited to have him on the call, or the podcast, I should say, and get a chance to really pick his brain about what's working, what's not, and hopefully help us understand a little bit more of the landscape so we're not going in so much like the blind leading the blind. So, Russ, I'll go ahead and turn it over to you. I apologize if it's Ruslan, Russ, but I'll let you go ahead and introduce yourself to us.
Thank you, Gene, for this kind introduction. Happy to be here, colleagues. Share something which I may have in production. So no specific statistic due to policies, a lot of communication style and approach, because I'm represent part of my company. But we do definitely like these, let's say, evolution of software development. We drive partnership. Hey, Mark.
Yeah, Mark just joined.
Yeah. We do this transformation kind of thing. Very quick summary about me, 15 years in industry, started as a 3D artist, updated pipeline, go to a research and development, and finished right now on a digital and cloud practice. So that's kind of tricky managerial technical position which I obtain, and personal passion definitely lies into concept of metaverses, which is for me still exists, but maybe we were not ready to introduce to. But yeah, that's me. I'm very happy to be here and happy to join this conversation.
No, perfect. Thank you so much for joining. Really, like I said, I don't know which question to start with, in all honesty. But let's start with right where you started with the metaverse. So one of the big things that we as a committee have really been evangelists of is the metaverse or cyberspace, whatever we want to call it. Like last year, we actually put together this whole immersive timeline of XR, trying to determine what would be the new word. You know, of course, now we know spatial computing seems to be what's catching on. But, last year we had a lot of response about it. There was a lot of questions of the metaverse. We were I think all of us were kind of rock stars at the time. And a year later, the evolution
we're not still rock stars?
Well, in our own mind.
Oh, okay.
We're the rock stars.
Keep going.
I'm the rock star performing the country fair at the moment. Sorry for any bands that actually do that. I love you guys. Just a joke. But no, what it gets to is, AI really took the sales out of it, and you hear about, the metaverse is dead, XR is dead, yet you're watching RP1 just launched their new browser for the first browser built for the metaverse. So you're still watching movement. So I guess my question is, where do you see the metaverse, or whatever we want to call it, with the evolution? Is it a standstill? Do we think it's still moving forward? I guess, what are your thoughts with it, since you kind of brought that idea up?
My personal view of this ecosystem, and that's kind of, again, state to which maybe some hardware was not fully prepared, and you see, like we were on the right stage when we were growing a customer, growing the client. So we we, we evangelize this. So this was like right now we have very fluent customers in terms of like we measure efficiency of each application, not only like on the product. We measure it from a perspective of a user and its age, its behaviors, and this means a level of adoption. So this is very interesting part for me to measure these effectives which we have on a human body with this education and how long we can stay in these virtual metaverses by using glasses. There are some sessions when you need to be like online for 2 hours, and that's pretty long, and this is impossible to be used on one same battery. So firstly, metaverse should arise from the business. So right now we see the amount of different chips, different AR glasses, which be combined to some kind of this spatial metaverse thing, like persistent space. I would like to call it like persistent virtual space, which is transmitted to real world or virtual concept in full extent. So we are in a very an interesting spot of it because there was a lack of immersions and the lack of convenience. And we are going into this direction. So we during this period we just raise some consumers which are ready for this, and right now we are very interesting spot. I couldn't define like even in 5 years that should be like a new concept of the device. So in 5 years we are going to have one more leap, which will be usual, because for example, like huge brands have its metaverse divisions, and this is like one space when we operate with it. So digital twin, digital space could be merged together. And again, this is very interesting spot of automation, of level automation.
Okay, I have a question.
Yeah.
Question. Can you give us some examples of projects you've been involved with, and what were the success metrics?
Yes, the major effect of these metaverses is, of course, communications and learnings. I can give you results about like training programs which took like more than 6 months. The key result when you try to onboard new person, new hire, new employee, and this may takes like half of a year. You have understanding how much time you can compare, for example, like classical workflow, which you had all the years, with investment into immersive training. And for us, we consume time. For example, like training, which was 6 months, we decrease up to 2 months to 4 months of training. So onboarding time decreased from 6 months to 4 months. And if you haven't like more than 5,000 heads, like 5,000 employees, you save huge amount of time, which could be saved, and you can onboard person faster. So the key results specifically for business was decrease in onboarding time. Of course, there was like a knowledge retention. We compared like manuals or reading manuals to immersive trainings, and that was like a thing which influence engagement and influence concentration on the trainings. So the knowledge retention, they took the same exam after like a few months after they passed it first time, and again we have increase in knowledge quality. All this knowledge quality turns into revenue and to effectiveness of each employee. So our metrics are measured against classical processes, and we compare them to like pixel per dollar or something like this. So we can measure everything specifically which influence like the most of the people in your organization, for example.
Nice.
I
What do you?
hope it
Russ,
answered.
We're all
Russ, I was
excited
going
to
to
ask a
push
question.
back a little bit on. Russ, I'm going to push back a little bit on how you said that it's an interesting time. I'm also finding that there's a maturation of all the supporting technologies, meaning that we're now resultant in a closed environment. So when a business wants to do something, they need to do a complete adoption of an ecosystem. And there's probably no way of getting out of that ecosystem without great expense. So while you're saying there's all these cool things that are going on, you're having to sign up for stuff that in the past you didn't have to sign up for. And there's a lot of things that you can't turn off like you used to be able to many years ago. So while it's promising and things are miniaturizing and all the pain points that we have in XR, especially in training, are slowly diminishing. All the little things that people complain about why they won't put on the goggles are slowly going away. We're getting this whole slew of new complaints, such as all the user data is getting uploaded, even though we have a data sovereignty policy. All these little things that are just slowly chipping away. When we went into this game thinking, hey, I bought this thing, I get to hack it, I get to make an awesome solution and then drive a profit. That no longer seems to be the landscape with technology. And I think you're in Spain, correct, Russ?
Lisbon.
Portuguese. Okay, sorry. Close enough for an American. So what I'm getting at is you're right in the middle of this huge power struggle between Americans, China, and also the European Union trying to throw their weight around with how people do technology. So I'm kind of curious how you navigate all that stuff when you're kind of getting forced to adopt certain ecosystems and they're all their terms and conditions that come along with it.
Each solution, each ecosystems definitely have huge amount of policies, and sometimes we have specific SMEs who help us to conduct business and to comply to specific standardizations, law policies. So in general, like we have standards for cooperating in various environments and in various conditions and various markets. So we are very flexible in terms of cooperation. So that's kind of important part, definitely, which you have mentioned with this. So we always should be flexible, and sometimes solutions are more on consultancy thing than just developing and doing something. So sometimes we challenge just ideas, and definitely not always this has like a commercial benefit. So a lot of such products should be verified pretty fast. Yeah.
So, based on that, what were you think some of your biggest assumptions or your aha moments from that? As you're going through it, was there anything that the lessons learned going, okay, we did it this way, maybe we should have done it this way, or really, I guess, any background insights you may have gotten from that?
The most important thing about all of that, it's like it should be, first of all, it should be convenient and it should be engaging. The speed of this engagement, which you can give in using the technology right now. So a lot of times with with speed of response right now is the most important thing, and the speed how quickly you can consume tokens and show operational excellence. So right now for us, this is very crucial. We understand that the SaaS is struggling because each employee becomes much more efficient than it was previously. So right now, when we can operate in terms of technology, we see that technologies delivers 1.4 to general velocity of same teams with and without AI accessories and AI tools at this point. So even in like metaverse concepts. So in game development, we see everywhere how hugely we were influenced by this. So we develop new cycles of development. So that's very
Interesting.
interesting point, even like on sales of that. Yeah.
Yeah. So I think these are the things that people don't often think about when they're trying to do this. Like I often make the joke that a lot of companies have initiated Copilot and they that's their digital transformation box checked off. They are now an AI company. It's like the AI ready computers from a couple years ago. And so I find that a lot of people are doing these kind of knee jerk reactions. They're going to it without really, I guess, and this where it kind of comes into your R&D background. They're not, well, I feel not doing the research. They're just hearing these talking points from either news articles or I'm not going to blame the media, but I will blame the internet. They're hearing these things and then they're walking out with kind of half the knowledge, not understanding the long game of this. Like you get into the tokens. I think once people realize that it costs a token or it costs to use AI, that all of a sudden it's different. Like what I'm really amazed by right now is how 2 years ago, nobody wanted Bitcoining mining anywhere near their houses, anywhere near them. And now we just have these giant data centers that everybody wants them around. And so I find that shift in even our thought of how we're looking at the technology is really changing. And that really kind of comes from that research and I guess the insights of looking deep down. If that made sense, I feel like I kind of just really went off a tangent on that one.
Was there a question in there, Gene?
There really wasn't a question. It was more of just the observation that, as we're really watching, this technology come through. And I feel like sometimes, and this is where I really wanted to get in the conversation with, Russ, is how important the research piece of this is. We get so excited about the implementation. We get so excited about the coolness of the tool that we're not looking at what are the lessons learned, which is what we're trying to do with this podcast. But really, how important is it to have how deep of a working understanding and a knowledge and research do you need to have to be able to start making these decisions and start adjusting the workflow? Because like you said, you need to create a whole new workflow. I mean, I was there, a lot of us that were at the beginning of these XRs, kind of like with AI, there wasn't anybody in front of us. We're just kind of fiddling about, hoping it works, but it was all based off our research of the past. And so I guess for AI is how value do you, for people getting into this, how valuable is that research to be able to even know which direction to go? Does that make sense? There's my question, Damon. I don't know if it works, but I'm going with it.
Russ, one way of reframing that question to you is your customers, when they come to you, can you tell, have they done any research at all? And if not, how do you even begin to onboard them?
Yeah.
Or do they just see your numbers and say, "Hey, I want those wonderful numbers too," and you're stuck trying to educate them before you can actually, engage them?
Yes, there is always like success stories, and the story could begin with multiple directions.
Sorry, you can pick a direction for your own conversational purposes then.
Yeah, I understand, but such projects could be like a co-investment. Sometimes you understand this and you do this concept together with clients. Sometimes you influence on a pre-sale. On a pre-sale, if client have prepared all documents, some requirements, gave you some materials, you can even prototype something and go on pre-sale with a prototype. The vision, the design, we can produce like these AI first stage, let's say, like this is like influence software development life cycle. This influence, like I can come to you with a vision of what you have gave and do a revision of it. So it will be valuable in terms of like alignment of, is it what you see, or let's say like do the first move and show you that we understand you. Like this is like not like even advantage right now. This is like some flow which appeared with like in a year or so. So it's not enough to be good just consultancy company or have some kind of you should have some advantages like operating with the main vendors and the main players in the market, but only this is like average world of IT services right now at any point.
Hey, Russ, just to kind of play off that, could you talk about, because what I'm hearing is sort of strategies, right? Could you talk a little bit more about that sort of concept of go-to-market strategies related to XR and AI currently in the market? Could you share a little bit more of that as specific to maybe Europe or your primary customers right now?
Trainings, immersive trainings, it's the major approach. We are going with Meta. We use mostly their devices. It's very capable devices. It was great for enterprise solutions, and it was enough for immersive environments and operations with like on physical processes, on physical flows. The major thing was here the point of equality and various tests with quality settings, art styles, and again the major point there was still communication. How much managerial time we can save on trainings with AI and its tools. So that was efficiency and how much cost per task we are receiving from each tool which we are trying to do. So right now, the major strategy of big companies might be that they want to have personal AI initiatives and AI centers with multiple agents, compliance agents, of data intake. So 30% of all kind of operations might be involved in these transformations. So there is like a huge amount of processes which could be augmented.
Nice. Now, little side question though, that I'm really curious because with Meta, using the Meta headsets, with Quest for Business going, they're closing it up next year, 2027. What are companies looking to help manage their headsets now? I know there were some companies that were offering like custom build infrastructures that'll help you manage, but with Meta not providing that now, how do you think this is going to impact companies, or where can, I'm not asking for your personal, you don't need to give me your blueprint of what you guys are doing, but where do you think some people can now start going to help manage the headsets so we don't have to go back to side loading and all the nonsense with them?
Yeah, I understand that side loading may works on the 5 headsets.
When you have 200, it's a whole nother ball game.
When it's like 200 and you need to track version control, yeah, it's like very bold game, which I saw where it was like a horrible licenses system. If you want some advanced features, you always should buy a wrapper on general settings, and only after this you have some advanced features which you can contain with like web of whole devices. They have an exit strategy. We had exit strategy with, I think, one of the companies which we had bought, and that we will transfer to them a Brock 6R or something like this. I don't want to sell or market something, but I've heard about exit strategy which we will use, and it was like, I assume not next year, in 2 years, but I should verify this. So. Yeah, that will be a question. We all wait for Quest 4. But there might be our strategy to jump to Picos, and Picos they are less powerful. Let's say like on 30% less powerful in terms of graphic, but in some models which are, let's say, like mono devices which you can wear and go. So. But we capable to not send our streams to meta servers, so we can do enclosed space with streaming from those glasses. So there are some hidden advantages which we can use, but
nice.
We can have different devices strategy. So we are. Personally, I'm looking to these AR glasses and various types where we can jump to them. So there are multiple ways where how market could guide us.
Nice.
Help this ignorant American a little bit. So when I watch the EU, they're trying to get rid of Microsoft right now. So they switched over to LibreOffice. Because honestly, all these SaaS companies, they're well, I can go on a whole tangent about them. But usually I'm at loggerheads with the EU. I think they made the right call this time, which is to go towards an open source thing. But my question is, with all these things that are EU funded because your taxes are so ridiculously high, why isn't anybody figuring out how to jailbreak the Meta and make their own operating system for the EU? Like if I had that bag of money, I'd be working on that problem. Has anybody ever floated that on your side, or do you just go, well, Meta's changed the terms of service again. I guess we're just gonna have to roll with this. Like, are there any urges to kind of be sovereign about the headsets that you actually own, that you've bought for all your projects? Sorry, that's a little adversarial, but it's like you guys got the resources to do this. So I'm kind of wondering why that hasn't been done or tried. Some university must be trying it. Anyway.
Yeah, our headquarters is in New York, so I would like to say I fully aligned with you on.
I think I just got my answer there, brother.
You got your legal response.
Fair enough.
Fine print in the recording.
That
was a good one.
Here are very, very modern taxes, and yes, it is Europe. But for example, I understand the ecosystem for startups in Europe for any kind of ideas. It's like life on a very hard mode. We can see it in just comparing the strategies. Let's say like result of strategies of amount of unicorns which we may see in states, and this is like fascinating. Like we understand where it goes. So
the trend that I saw over the past decade is a plucky little company, typically in Italy, will come up with a magical idea, and I'm like, yes, let's make that happen. And then they start going down that road, and then the bureaucracy starts chipping away at them. and then they pursue all these certifications that they got to get, and before you know it, they ran out of money. So
or the legality is what takes them out from prior licensing agreements and things of that nature. Yeah,
which is great. Like sometimes I really admire in the EU that they try to really look out for their citizens and look for their well-being, and I can understand that approach. As an outsider, I can get my mind into that. But at the same time, they kind of hug you to death with too many rules that you have to follow. And this is an emerging technology where we really don't know how stuff's going to work out. So yeah, man, it's got to be hard in Europe sometimes. After you get that first little sip of success.
Yeah, they definitely feel it, and they definitely see it in results of improvements in companies and returns, and so it is it is what it is. I cannot add anything here.
Well,
I'll just
the camera
finish the
stops
argument on it.
rolling.
I mean, there's the other side of the coin where, like here in America, it literally is the Wild West. And,
Texas.
I end up with an AI model installed in my computer against my wishes. So, there's the other side of that coin. You get to move fast and break things, but sometimes the thing that gets broken is yours. So I don't know where the balance is. And that's one of the things I search for.
It's also the speed of the adoption of it. Like it always takes me back to, the YouTube incident where all of us, whether we listen to YouTube or not, were granted their newest record and we couldn't get rid of it, and so, so what I find is that really it comes down to the adoption of it, where some countries will adopt to it faster, some won't, kind of the geographic region, but where I'm seeing is that the technology is moving so fast. At what point do we put the guardrails on it? And I only bring this up because over the past weekend was San Diego Comic-Con. For those of you that can see my camera, see my background, understand why that was such a very big deal for me. All the Marvel news came out. We got Ghost Rider.
For those that can't see his camera, he's a real nerd. He's got a lot of stuff in behind him. So
yeah, absolutely. I have
God
the whole new,
us.
especially the whole new mask collection from Loyal Subjects. Love them. So, but anyways, so at Comic-Con, a place where they love technology. This is the place to take new technology. These are the people. Guess what the number one banned item was this year? The Meta glasses.
AR glasses, yeah. Meta specifically?
Almost every celebrity in front of their booth had no Meta glasses. I mean, called out very specifically, very big. And I remember going to a Comic-Con when they first came out. I'm like, these are the greatest things in the world. But that's the problem, is that the technology is moving so fast. I think we're having trouble not only keeping up with it, but understanding even where by the time we're ready for guardrails, it's already out and has been out, and the cat's out of the bag, if that makes sense. And I think sometimes we're running into that issue.
And Ruslan, I wanted your opinion on this because I got to go on a trip once, and I work on the military side of things, and I took an HTC headset and I handed it to an airman, and he wouldn't want to put it on because, well, first he thought it was a Meta headset, and I'm like, no, different company. But at the same time, he was like, I don't want that thing taking pictures of my eyes. And I'm like, well, this one doesn't have the eye tracking, but anyway, like I kept on giving him answers like, hey man, this is the good one. It's okay, but how do you work with that on your side where, like, just as Gene said, there's all these consequences that have befallen us as the technology matures. How do you drive a wedge and go, no, it's cool, we got you, here's why, X, Y, and Z. Walk the dog on that for us, please.
Yeah, so very great question about users, because we may have absolutely different users, different cultures, different ages, different languages, different business units, and we have like unique materials related to each of them. So we have unique structures of legal, we have unique structures of ethical rules, of everything is custom to right now. So that's a good thing that you receive a proper communication and proper results of these. So it helps you. It helps us to create idea of unique agents, persistent, like which influence you and act like some kind of personal guidance. But you were right in mentioning like we should have really tough guardrails and standardized security policies with operating with this data. Right now, we are using specific frameworks to guard like toxicity. We need to understand how we should answer some specific guardrails, specific topics which we are not answering, not communicating. So when we operate with this ethical part, we are trying to adjust it to your proper style and way of communication of a user. But you mentioned that there could be some cases when people will not try VR or immersive world, and they were afraid. They were scared of it, and they do not want to go back. And that's kind of things which are like 5% of users which could experience this. So not every user could definitely use.
Do you have alternatives for that remaining 5%? You know, tablet and spatial tracking, for instance.
And that's a very cool question technically, because for me, these metaverses should be experienced by infrastructure which client may have. For example, if you have iPads, we can do this application which will have connection with you by a multiplayer, and you will be in one space. So, for example, like you will be on the one lesson, on one pipeline executing this, and you can be from iPads and you can be from virtual glasses. So you're in a one world. So you allowing people to use 2D interfaces to handle it in like with UI of VR and with UI of Android phone. It could be iPhone, it could be a tablet. It depends where you port this device.
So is bring your own device actually a part of your strategy sometimes?
We should be sustainable. If you may have like, if you're a huge company, you may have like multiple type of devices already in your infrastructure, and we should build these places like gamification places with different interfaces through infrastructure which you have. It could be like if you have like all corporations with iPads, we can deliver to iPads, but we say that we start from iPad version like 10, 12, 13, and you could enter these worlds in trainings or immersive lessons from these applications. And this is like distribution of the same medium to be present in these virtual spaces. But I fully agree with you that AR glasses, I hope this will be the next step devices to full VR glasses, which could be worn on your face. And I think, as in the beginning we said, that not all the brands we allow to put something on our faces. So it's pretty hard to put even AR glasses to the person who is not wearing glasses. But for business purposes, that could be like a different type of device which we are hoping to use it. Because for me, these AR glasses is a very interesting product, and this is like something which you can use external calculations powers and have to process it like very complex things and ideas which were not possibly previously to send. But yeah.
Do you see the glasses? You're excited about them. Do you see those as key to scaling in enterprise in the future?
Yes, I see that even right now, a lot of enterprises have even ecosystems of immersive trainings. And for them, it will be very interesting, like a new device to renew the program, because even like these devices could live up to physically 1, 2 years, 3 years. After this, it should be maintained, renewed, or changed. So if adoption could be increased by, for example, like new devices by Qualcomm, it could be interesting for operations to use it, for example, in logistics, on a warehouse logistics. There might be some places when devices could be updated and maintained in terms of AR glasses immediately. Like could be the quick update solution. In our places, it's like heavy instructions, so a lot of compliance, a lot of verifications, visual verifications of quality. But the major thing here be like, again, involvement with AI and the quality of analyzed data which is proceeding. So for me, it's for example, if you have construction of a whole plant and data center or whatever, and you are just going with AR glasses and they conduct the results which was achieved through the day, and then compare it and add it to virtual models. So they are very powerful thing which we are putting on on users. That's right. Again, this joining it with AI layers could be very powerful new instrument for operations. But again, we need to put glasses on a person who never who never used to use them. That's kind of thing. So,
Russ, do you sort of see the rise of what I would call, when like Google Glass came out, I saw a lot of what I would call HUD-based workflows coming into enterprise. Do you sort of see like a revival of that coming back with the changes in the device platforms?
thank you for a question, Mark. In terms of operating with the users, with client facing directly, there are some possible things how it could be like. But again, the level of privacy and the level of cooperating in such extent this is like very, maybe too innovative for now. For example, like if you do some recording or something, there should be always like even like visual indicator of this cooperation, and you should have consent of a person to operate in it, to do the client facing thing. Inside of training, cooperation, internal operations, operational excellence, user and warehouse, you do not need it. Yeah, like you have consent when you work with employees on specific job which they are assigned. So definitely no one wants to know what way we're looking, how you were taking a shower or something like. You do not expect this from the glasses which you obtain, and that's very important point in terms of privacy, specifically for a big company. So there are like very interesting technology like splatting, like vertical scans through the points where we could pre-train people for specific environments. But again, that is not very scalable because I need to scan each space. There are multiple like new cool features which are arising, but again, the economy further, we could have like Bitcoin for tokens of AI. We do not know how this calculation power will be solved. I hope we will finally invent fusion and finally have unlimited energy, but I doubt that we are going to share it easily with everyone.
So, Russ, we're at the point now where one of the things that we like to do, first off, thank you for joining us. It's been absolutely incredible. As you can see, we would love to have you back. I think there's going to be more questions for you as we digest the conversation. But it's really a great opportunity to talk to somebody like you that can really offer not only advice, but insight onto things that have worked, things that haven't, but also just seeing the long picture of where it can go. Really, I think that really gives us support in the face of AI taking over everything in XR not getting a lot of love. But one of the things that we like to ask our guests is for a final protocol. So if there's a thought or a piece of advice or something that you think would be important for our listeners to hear, it's one of those things that I think all of us that have been interviewed, we always wish somebody would ask. We always have that question we wish somebody would ask us because we have that answer ready to go because we love talking about it. So this is kind of that opportunity. Would you be willing to share like a final protocol, insight, suggestion, or advice for anybody that's listening?
The interesting question about this is definitely like adoption for me, feasibility. For me, it's effectiveness of what you do. So for me, when always time in R&D and different processes related to creation of something new and testing ideas, the amount of rates when your idea fail or your project fails is pretty high because you are testing the water, you're testing like with the limit that it touches. And for this thing, I just will suggest that even like if something like is successful and you can see results of it, which influence, let's say, like pretty sustainable to your mind, to your company, to you, and let's say to your ideas. That's very important because it sparks technology. It's not a way that everyone wants to go with, but this is very exciting and fascinating thing which you can choose. So you should love this before you can start to do this. So you see, like I understand how much passion was pulled into this position and to things which we do, and how much we invest in these worlds. We, I, I think created more than thousand at least, like different art objects, scales, mini projects. Warehouses and amount of worlds which you create and you understand that and just let's say like 15% of them are feasible and you can do something with them. This is amazing. Like this passion of creation parts inside of XR metaverses and these realms, let's call them realms.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Nice. Very nice. I love that. It seems to be a common thing. You have to love this to be in this type of industry. Well, I love it. Russ, thank you so much for joining. Just to let you know that we always like to make this offer that if you ever want to join as a panel member, if you ever want to come back because you have an update you want to share, or maybe you discovered a new insight or something new that you're like, you know what, this would be really good for everybody to hear. There's always a seat open for you. Just reach out. I never want to send out just random emails or overhit you with schedules. So, but if you ever want to come back, please let me know. To the rest of the Neon Protocol team, thank you guys for joining and taking the time out today. As with everybody, we've got some new things that we're trying to work on to kind of help keep some of the headlines in the news, as well as if you're a listener and you have a story that you would like to share, please feel free to contact us and reach out, and we will take a look at it. As well as be sure to click the like, follow, share, help us grow. We're slowly gaining an audience, and we would love any support that you would be willing to give, including sponsorship. We'll definitely take sponsorship. We're capitalists here. No, seriously. Thank you guys for joining, and happy Tuesday to everybody.
Cheers all.
Happy Tuesday.
Happy.